Oh, how is it going, my friends? Today we are in front of this beautiful backdrop in order to talk about startups. But we have a special topic today. We're not just going to talk about startups, we're going to talk about startups and starting small businesses. What are the differences, and how do you avoid failure? Welcome to DAX Startup Journals. Why are we doing this? I fundamentally don't think that there's solid information on starting and growing scalable startups out there. Raising money, getting customers, managing teams, all of that. I don't think there's solid information out there in any one place. And none of it is particularly entertaining. So we're going to bring you that. Now, here's the key thing about this that I've learned after many different businesses that I've started and all kinds of products that I've sold. Now, out of all the businesses that I've started and all the products that I've sold, I have sold at least one copy of everything that I've sold, everything that I've tried to sell, with one exception. Sometimes I've sold a lot. One time I sold nothing. Why is that? Well, this is actually a two-part problem. So if you have a startup company, then you're looking to raise money. And when you raise money, you're going to have resources, which means that you can tackle more complicated problems. The thing that we'll dive into a lot on this channel is that everything comes down to getting people to make decisions. If you're raising money, you need people to make decisions. If you're trying to build a user base, you're trying to get people to make decisions. If you're trying to get a customer, you're trying to have somebody make a decision and then buy something. You're always trying to get people to make decisions. What that means is the ability to get somebody to make a decision or not make a decision and make it enough that they're going to take an action, whether that's sign up for your app or your website and become a user and then come back and become a regular user, or whether that's to actually sell something so that they're actually giving you money or to invest. The difference between them making that decision and taking that action and not making that decision and not taking the action is make or break for your company. Now, if you have resources, you can tackle more complicated decisions. You can convince people more. You can build up a brand. You can address something that might be more difficult to address. That's why you can create a company where maybe nobody's ever thought of whether or not they needed the thing that you provide. If you're a startup and then you go out and you raise $1 million in financing or $5 million in financing. However, for those of you that are watching that are trying to build a smaller business where you're not going to take investments, you need to look at this a little bit differently. Now, let's start at the beginning. This goes for both parties. You need something where people are either sitting around thinking about wanting something. They have some desire. They have some excitement. If you were to offer them something that would trigger what they're already sitting around wishing for, they would take it. Or you need to solve a problem for them. Now, we all know that. Solve a problem for them. Here's the thing that I found in my experience. They have to be regularly in pain because of that problem. Not necessarily physical pain. Could be physical pain. But it has to be something that they wake up, let's say at least 3 days a week, and they're like, man, I really need that thing. I really need to solve this problem. If it's not that much pain, if it's not that regular, they're not really going to buy your thing. Now, before you start saying, but I went to the store and they were selling ShamWows, or they were selling that shake weight or whatever, and those sell a lot. Yeah, most of those sell at the store when you're already walking by it and it's super easy to grab it and put it in your cart and check out. If you're trying to sell something online or get somebody to become a user of something online, and they don't regularly think about the pain of that problem, or they don't regularly think about the desire, how much they want that thing, forget about it. You're wasting your time. So you have to start there. They either regularly have some desire or excitement where they want that thing, and it could be just about anything. I mean, there are millions and millions of Star Wars fans out there. Just to use an example, not me, I am a Star Wars fan, but there are millions out there that really would be very excited to have an actual lightsaber. Completely preposterous, doesn't solve any problem at all, right? But they would be super, super. Some of you watching right now, how excited would you be if you had a real lightsaber? Think about that. That would be a great business because they regularly think about it. I don't know how many millions, but I would guarantee it's over 1 million people in this world regularly think about how cool it would be to have a lightsaber or something from the Star Wars universe. Regularly think about it, several times a week. Or there's so much excitement built around that from over all the years that it's the same level as if for the last 2 months they've been regularly thinking about that. On the other hand, it could be a problem that people just maybe suffer through and don't even realize. Like the Segway, people didn't really think about how much of a problem it was that they didn't have a Segway or something like it, because they weren't really thinking about that problem regularly. There wasn't a 3 times a week pain or more in their head, even if they were regularly suffering from that problem. The Segway didn't sell very well at first, and it still doesn't sell well to consumers now. Even now, the Segway primarily sells to tour companies, police forces, blah, 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 blah. Now, where does this deviate between startup companies and then smaller businesses? Startup companies, for the sake of what we're going to talk about on this channel, we're usually going to be talking about companies where they're going to raise money. So they're going to have resources. Versus a smaller business, you're probably not going to raise money or have a lot of resources. Where does that deviate? Well, if you don't have a lot of resources, let's say you're starting your first small business, or maybe you're starting your 5th, but you didn't make tons of money, so you don't have, let's say, $500,000 in the bank account to spend on that, then you should be looking for demand. Not just desire or pain, but demand. You should be looking for demand of the exact thing, the exact format of thing that you're selling. I have a friend, whether or not you agree or disagree with this area, I have a friend that sells CBD products and started when there was already demand for CBD products, and now he makes profit $50,000 a month selling those CBD products. Why? Because there was already demand for those format of CBD products when he started, which means all he's got to do is figure out how to outsell the other sellers of CBD products. That's what you want to do if you're starting a small business. There should already be demand for the format of thing that you're selling. Maybe you tweak it a little bit. Like, there was a famous Kickstarter that was one of the biggest of all time. It was a cooler, and it had a speaker in it, and it had this in it, it had that in it, blah, 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 blah. But people already wanted coolers. So there was already a demand for the format, the cooler, of product. People wanted to keep their stuff cold. That was the problem, outside. But the format was a cooler. So he didn't just come up with a new way to keep your stuff cold. That probably would have flopped. He went with the same format, and then he tweaked it so that he could outsell other cooler sellers. Now, typically, you don't want to go after something that's so established. You want to go after something where there's a wave. So there's this rising demand for the format of product or service that you're selling. Now, where would you look if you were starting a small business right now? I would say a lot of opportunities typically come from B2B, business to business. So if you can find a demand that you think is either not totally fulfilled or is rising or could be out-competed to sell to that demand, or you can just do it better for some reason, but there's a demand from businesses for a certain format of product or services, and you can go out and outsell them for that. That would be, if you want to start a business and start making $1 million a year, that's where I would look. What do businesses need, already have a demand for? What's the format of that thing? Now, how do I make it better, supply it better, just outmarket them, and get that demand? That's where I would start. That if I didn't have much money, if I didn't have a lot of money, that's where I would start in order to make a business. Now, a small business. If you're doing a startup, that's where you can look at where is their routine, ever-present desire or excitement, or where is there a problem, and maybe we're going to solve that in a way that people aren't familiar with. But now you need resources. So like these companies that are trying to do electric air taxis, there's not demand for that format. There might be a desire to move faster throughout our world. There might be a problem there, but there's not demand for flying electric air taxis. There aren't people out there that are seeking that thing out already. There, some percentage of people would be really excited about that and have kind of waited for something like that, but most people haven't. There's not really demand. So you would not want to try to do that as a small business, because you're going to spend all your money on one air taxi and then you're going to have a little bit of an issue. Maybe people are going to get excited about it, especially because it's in person, so you can show them around. But like if you were trying to sell something like that online, forget about it. The fact that there's not already demand for that is going to take a lot of resources in order to market that and build the demand. So that's the realm of startups. Now, on top of all of that, I would argue, remember I've sold tons and tons of products and different services. I would argue that what every consumer wants is excitement. Now you're going to say, well, some people are really in pain. Some people have cancer and they want to fix the cancer. They want to get out of pain. Completely true. Of course they do. I would argue that they want to be excited about the way that they're going to get out of that pain. A doctor comes to them and they're like, we've got this brand new stem cell treatment. It's been working on 70% of people, blah, 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 blah. And then they get excited about getting out of that pain, about everything that they can do after that. Now, why would I argue that? One of my best friends has a paralyzed arm. And with that paralyzed arm, she's tried plenty of treatments over the years to reduce the nerve pain that comes with that. Crippling, debilitating nerve pain. She's tried all kinds of treatments. Now, the problem is they're almost all, maybe they all are, invasive surgeries. So she can't just try things without getting an invasive surgery and all the medical bills and all the prep and everything that comes with that, right? So she stopped trying any new treatments for that. Why? Because she tried several, they didn't work. It was this huge thing every time, surgery, recovery, medical bills, the whole thing. Now other people would come to her and be like, I think this would get rid of your nerve pain. I think that would get rid of your nerve pain. And they might have been right. Here's the thing. All that pain, every day, debilitating nerve pain, she would say no, even though they might be right. Why? Because they weren't getting her excited about the possibility of these new solutions. So even with all that pain, literal pain, she stopped trying new things because none of the new things got her excited about the promise of that thing. So I would argue no matter what it is, we're all looking for excitement. If it's just entertainment or fun or buying a drone or whatever, people just want to be excited about doing that thing. They want to be excited about seeing the world from a different perspective through their drone. Why am I saying that? Because whatever it is, if you're a small business, you want to start with demand. Go find the demand. Step one, don't come up with an idea. Go find demand and then come up with an idea to fulfill that demand with a format people are used to, but better than whoever's currently fulfilling it, and then make them excited about it. If you're a startup and you have resources, go find a problem that is ever present for people that causes them pain several times a week, or that people are excited about, that they have a desire for, that they also think about several times a week, or maybe have thought about for years. Fulfill that, but get them excited about it. Even if it's a cure for cancer, get them excited about it. Get them excited about it. If it's a movie, get them excited about it. If it's a concert, get them excited about it. If it's a cure for cancer, still get them excited about it. Because that's where they're going to jump over and actually take the action. Because otherwise what people think is they think, oh wow, that's a great idea. I should do that. I should buy that. I should hire them. But without the excitement, they don't actually take the action. Remember, everything comes down to the decision and the actions of other people. Even if you're looking for an investment, get the investor excited about what it is you're doing so that they actually take the action. Now, remember, if you're going to raise money and have resources, you want ever-present problem with pain that they think about a lot, or ever-present desire or excitement they've either had for years or that they think about a lot. If you don't have resources and you're not going to raise money, go out and find demand. Either way, no matter what it is, get people excited about it. And now, before you dive into that, think about the actual mechanisms that you're going to use to get them excited about it. How are you actually going to reach out to that customer base and get them excited? Is it via YouTube videos? Is it via Instagram? Is it in person? Trust me, it's a lot easier in person. It's a lot easier to go sell something out at a farmer's market than it is to sell something online, because it's harder to get people excited that way. So think about all of that before you dive in and start the business. And that is how you come up with a successful startup or a successful small business.